Dr. Eleanor Thompson. I am the CEO of Loosen the Cords That Bind, LLC, a for-profit business. Thank you for joining me on tonight. I would like to give honor first to God for this time and this season that he has me in. And I thank him for the platform that he has allotted me. And I thank Pastor Frampton, the owner, and Frampton Paul and Lady Michelle, who are the owners of this great radio station, Truelife.net, TruelifeRadio.net. I am your host on tonight, and I will be sharing with you, and I will be having a conversation with you in the prior time. As I said, and I always state, this may not be for you on tonight, but I would like for you to share what you have learned and what you've gotten out of this to maybe someone that may need it. And sometimes we don't know who are going through things and that may need things at the time. So I even ask God for a greater discernment so that we may be able to discern sometimes what people are going through. Just because you see them smile, you don't know what's behind that smile. So on tonight, I would ask you to share and to just be able to give it out to someone else, because I can't reach everyone, but a little, each one teach one. That's the way that goes at this point. So right now, and again, just to let you know that I will be on TrueLifeRadio.net every second and fourth Tuesdays of the month. Now I'm just going to give you a little, because every week I'm sharing about Loosen the Cords That Bind. We promote wellness and safety to those women who are in abusive situations, relationships. We are also dedicated to educating, equipping, and encouraging those as well. We want to bring about an awareness of this violence via programs, training, counseling, and referrals, along with relevant resources. Also to support groups, individuals, clients, to navigate them to their next. Again, we would like to also, as we collaborate with the other agencies, we want to bring about that wholeness communities and families, even our faith families, our churches as well. So, and how we going to do this? One chord at a time. So why don't you help us with some chords on tonight? And my mantra usually is, you don't have to stay in the situation that you're in. Why be bound when you could be free? There is hope for your life. And remember, if you're out there tonight and you're dealing with any sorts of abuse, remember, you are not alone, and it's not your fault. And before I get started again, I would like to just give these numbers out. Domestic violence, the number is 1-800-621-4673. That's 1-800-621-4673. And the next number is the Safe Horizon number, 1-855-234-1042. That's 1-855-234-1042. And if you're out of New York City, you're outside New York City, that number you can reach someone for help is 855-484-2846. Again, 855-484-2846. And you can also text as well the word love is to the number 22522. Again, text the word love is, LOVEIS, to the number 22522 for help. And if it's a real emergency, please call 911. And if you need to contact me, these are the ways. Phone number, 1-800-454-4639. 1-800-454-4639. My email address is loosenthecords@loosenthecords.bind.com. Again, loosenthecords@loosenthecords.bind.com. The website, you can check out my website, and it's loosenthecords.bind.com. Please know that domestic violence is never okay, and it's a crime punishable by law. So this is a serious matter. It's nothing that people can joke around with and say things about because this is happening and people's lives are involved. For the last two segments, I was having a conversation with you on talking about emotional abuse as a whole. We went into the triggers, the last things with the triggers and the traumas, gaslighting and the different things as such. But I would like to reiterate that emotional abuse is one of the hardest forms of abuse, as I stated in my last session, to recognize because it can be subtle, deceitful, deceptive, indirect, insidious, as well as dangerous. What happens is the emotional this particular behavior, it chips away or it erodes at the victim's self-esteem, making them doubt their perceptions and or reality. Remember that it's a pattern of put downs and mind games that is meant to gain power over you and leaves the victim feeling fearful, even though and they feel that is their fault, but it's not their fault, and they're not losing their mind. Because sometimes they will do that. Your victim will make you feel that you're not in control of your own mind, that you're crazy. May I tell you that abuse comes in many forms, not all of which are physical. At some point, and at one point in my life, before I began to do research and really found out that I was in a relationship or a domestic violence relationship, like I said before, I didn't know that I was in a relationship until I came out of it, and that's when I knew that I was a victim of domestic violence. However, the physical aspect of it, but what I realized is that there are many facets of this disease that it spreads across demographics in one way or the other. However, because most emotional abuse is considered common, but statistics are hard to come by since it's very difficult to legally document this demeaning behavior until it involves a threat and becomes so many, as it becomes a threat to so many. And in most cases, this is according to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, be it physical, emotional, or sexual. Most of the time, these things are never reported. And the numbers could be higher, but because they're never reported, it's never documented. Please be reminded, though, however, that emotional abuse is not less harmful or less dangerous than physical abuse. Both have the same complications and consequences and the results as well. Now, before I just go to unpack some of another component of emotional abuse, that is verbal abuse. And I realized that some of these components, as I was doing research and things like that, I saw that many of the behaviors, they kind of overlap. Like most people think that physical violence is more dangerous than verbal in a relationship. However, that's a great misconception. Some people, of course, they're given their advice as to when the abuser turns violent. Like when the person gets to be violent, then you should walk. It's time to walk away. But I beg to differ with that. You don't wait until the person turns violent because you may not get a chance to walk away. Because no matter what happening, there are signs and there are flags, warning flags, red signs and flags that are waving, like get out right now. Because it's just like with verbal abuse, it's undoubtedly it's a precursor, a forerunner or a messenger to physical abuse. And that forerunner or messenger, the precursor is get out now because something is coming behind me that you may not be able to deal with and that you can't get out of. Sometimes it takes a minute to get out of these relationships. Sometimes why people ask why you're staying so long, because it's so easy to to be getting out of at a certain point. And again, however, verbal abuse takes time, and it takes because the perpetrator, they know how to like I said, sweet talking. Yeah, they can do that, and then you fall, if you then you're all in your feelings and things of that nature, and guess what? You done got caught up, because now that's just stage one. Now here comes the next stage, where he's going to really put it on a little bit harder, and every round is just like putting layers. It's just like layers. They're very strategic in what they do. Verbal abuse, again, takes place behind closed doors, mostly, because you hear sometimes people are screaming in the street and cursing each other out, or whatever they're doing, hitting and stuff like that. I mean, I got screamed out when I was in the street as well, loud talking and things like that. And I hate to be, of course, embarrassed. And who wants to be embarrassed? But verbal abuse, there are no black eyes, no fingerprints, or no bones broken. However, the victims, we as victims, you just feel battered, you feel just beat down, exhausted, and weak without a single scar or bruise. You just feel just jacked all the way up. Just like it's just like being in the center of a boxing ring, not knowing where my opponent was coming from. That's the way it is, and you don't know where to turn, to the left or the right. You don't know where to turn, to the north, the south, the east, or the west. You just know that you are fighting an opponent, but you don't know where he's coming from. So that's just like with Rob. You don't know when it's going to happen. You know when it's coming, but you know it's coming. In reference to the prior session that we had before, we had a conversation on gaslighting, and another word for that is decision making. This is when your emotions, your words, and experiences are twisted. Like your abuser, he just starts to twist stuff around, causing you to feel that you're losing touch with reality. And I tell you, this is one of the most very effective forms of emotional abuse, because you can't really document this. I mean, you can document, like for gaslighting, these things need to be documented, and also in order for you to have proof, like I mentioned before, journal it, record it if you can, send it away, whatever you need to do to have that, if you for legal purposes. When you have to prove something, you need that. So that's what I mentioned before. And the abuser tries to convince the victim that something is wrong with them, which is crazy. I have good news for you, however, tonight. You are not crazy. If you're out there listening to me, I want you to know that you are not crazy. There's nothing wrong with your mind. It's the person that you're with. They're the crazy one, and they're the one that needs help. But you cannot make a person do anything at all. But you know what you have to do. There has to be a plan, however. But you don't need to stay there in the place that you're in. There is a way out. I'm just telling you tonight, there is a way out. I'm talking to you tonight. There is a way out. You don't have to take the abuse. You don't have to take the sarcasm. You don't have to take any of that. There is a way out. And there's help for you. You don't have to take the put down, the mind game, and all of this stuff, because all that is, when he does this, when the abuser does it, he does it for only his purposes, sole purposes, to gain power over you, so that it leaves you fearful, like that everything's your fault. However, you're not losing your mind. Sometimes you think you're losing your mind. And I thank God, in my relationship, I was in an abusive relationship where there was physical, mental, psychological, all that together, and verbal, all of that stuff, all right there together. But thank God that he gave me a strong mind. But at some point, sometimes, and what's so strong about emotional, because you got all these thoughts coming after, and you don't know how to separate them. So it becomes just like a deluge, just so much, it becomes so weighty. So that's why it's so hard with the emotional stuff. You don't see the scars, but they're there. He hasn't broken your bones yet, but surely he's broken your spirit. Sometimes we don't walk around with broken bones, but definitely our spirits are just torn up, shredded, like shredded wheat. It's shredded. Now, let me give you a little description of verbal abuse, according to dictionary.com and the National Coalition of Domestic Violence. They said that verbal abuse is the act of forcefully criticizing, insulting, or denouncing another person. Have you ever been there? Characterized by underlying anger and hostility. It is a destructive form of communication intended to harm the self-concept of the person and to produce negative emotions. Their job is to tear you down. The concept, your self-concept, how you see yourself, how you feel about things, and to produce negative emotions instead of positive ones. Verbal abuse is a maladaptive, which is defective, unfit, flawed, unstable, dysfunctional mechanism. That's what that is. And that anybody can display that. Anybody can display verbal abuse because it's a natural thing as well, but it's not. It becomes unnatural when it becomes pattern and it's intentionally to harm people or to hurt people's feelings or emotions. That's when it's an abuse. Because you have verbal spats with your spouses. You can't say you never had one. With your children, you have the arguments or the disagreements. That's part of life. But what's not part of it is making it intentional and causing a person to be in a bad place. They feel bad about themselves, or the words that are so harsh that it will crush their spirit. So verbal abuse is not a good thing at all. And for some people, again, it is a pattern of behaviors used intentionally to control or manipulate others to get revenge. Now, I mean, there are some people they're just horrible and they don't care about anybody or anything, and revenge is something else. But what you reap, you will definitely sow. What you sow, you will definitely reap, and that matter like that, because nobody deserves. Because words they said before, and as a young kid coming up, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words may never harm me. Again, the farthest from the truth. Yes, words can harm me. Words words cut me. They make me bleed. I mean, they cut. They're like the source of my life, of my spirit, of my peace. And the words stay because they never go away. Words never go away. Bruises go away. Bumps and lumps go away in a physical abuse situation, but words never go away. You just learn how to deal with them. Words become the scrapes become the scars. They begin to heal, but the scars are still there, which are reminders of what we've been through. Now, some of the types of behavior, like I said, overlap as well as the emotional part of it. They overlap, like with the emotional, and that's it's like attack on your personal character, blames and accusations. They like to shame and judge, the sarcasm of twisting what you said. Sometimes they play the victim because they make it look like they're the victims and you're crazy. Yeah, my husband, they were good for things like that. They do things like that. Or you stupid, that's the word, stupid, ugly, whatever the case may be. And you grow up with those things, even though my thing, and I learned, but I put them in the four corridors of my mind. And now I remember things and they're coming back now. But they were put so far that I forgot about them. And I was like, when a thought comes, oh, wow, I remember that. Like triggers. I remember what that happened. I remember what that fight was for. You begin to remember things. And sometimes we got to go so deep in the archives of our minds, our corridors, to just sometimes, and we don't even know why, sometimes the behaviors that we have is not because of what happened now, it's what happened before that we really didn't get freedom from or get healed or delivered from. And there's intimidation as well, criticism. Like I said, that's harsh and undeserved. They intimidate you. It's just one look. They just have to look like, when you give your children a look, one look. And they know, okay, mommy means business. Husband, the same thing. You just come in there, oh boy, here we go again. What's now? What's up? So it's about to be on and popping. All right. Again, so, and everything just escalates from one thing to the other, to the part that there's a situation by not speaking at all. And I will deal with that on my next one. But that one is like really, it's really something. You just imagine silence and nothing, just silence. That's another form of abuse. When your partner or your spouse, they give you the silent treatment, I will call it. Did you know that there are types of, how many types of abuse? There are emotional abuse. There's the verbal, and there's the rejection as well. And we'll deal with that, like I said, on another time. Let's look at some of the dangers of verbal abuse. Sometimes when you in a physical, there's physical violence or whatever, and they could, your partners could be time bombs. If the abuser, the verbal abuser who's verbally abusing you at this point, if he feels that, when he sees that, okay, this technique is not working, so I'm going to up my game. So what he's going to do, he's going to move into the physical abuse to maintain his control. So they always upping their game up. That's always up their game because, like I said, I thank God for being strong-willed person as far as that goes. Even though, like you said, never let him see you sweat. Even though if he's bothering me, you will never know that. So, but his thing was he got control somewhat because he instilled a fear inside of me. And I realized that abuse escalates over time. Time spent in abusive situations causes you to feel beaten down, as I said, and devastated. And know that, again, that it's not too late. It's never too late to get out. Again, I'm saying to you, I'm talking to you tonight, you out there that are maybe going through abusive or verbally abusive relationship, it's never too late to get out. It's never too late to get out. Again, you're not crazy, and it's not your fault. And again, you are not alone. Okay, what happens if you stay? You may ask, what happens if you stay? Well, remember again, all that's happening now, it benefits the abuser, while you are doing everything in your power to make them happy. But it's what they're being happy at your expense. But you're not, at the same time, you're happy, but you're not really happy. But it's at your expense that they're doing this. And these are some possibilities of what can happen if you choose to stay with your abuser. First and foremost, the unthinkable is that that abuse from verbal to physical can end in death. It could kill you. And sometimes what they do, they'll try different ways of doing this, such as taking out in your name and destroying your credit history. And this could just become a cycle indefinitely. But it's never going to stop the behavior because you're still there. So you will definitely have to just stay in that if you don't get out of there. It's like a continuous cycle that never ends. And then after a while, they could go into a temporary phase called the nice phase of the honeymoon stage or phase, where they're just so nice. This is how they lure you into a false security, make you think that this is all. It's just like he was the best thing since cream and crackers or chips or whatever the case may be. He may make you feel that way, and he may be good for a while, but that's just to step up his for the next episode of the abuse. to be more effective, because being that he done loved you up and everything like that, and you're going to say, you know, you done caught your feelings and catching your feelings and stuff about him, and you say, nah, he doesn't mean it, you know, he loves me and everything of that nature. But he just that was just a precursor of getting you, just like getting your nose open so the freight train can go through it. So even if your friends are saying, you know, no, that guy, something wrong, there's something about him. No, you already know. He already told you. You already told him that your friends, you know, saying this and they don't trust him and all that. So now he know he got you in his pocket. But never be so anxious. Take your time. The women, take your time. Don't try to rush into relationships of such. Don't be so thirsty, as the young folks said. Don't be so thirsty to get in a relationship with someone. I don't care who they are. They can be the preacher or the teacher, the prophet, or whoever they may be, the CEO or whomever. Don't be so thirsty or so eager to get into a relationship. Wait on God. Just take your time and wait, because things will change if you wait. But if he sees that you're thirsty, and he's really going to pour it on real hard, for real. So a lot of times people don't want to admit this problem, and they don't want to get help. But I don't want to be the killjoy, Dr. Killjoy today. But at last, the last option is more unlikely. Why would somebody give you? Why? Because why? Like I said, why would they stop doing what they're doing, or change their ways while you are rewarding them? You mean, how am I rewarding them? I'm glad you asked that question. Like if somebody, I'm just going to be a little, not. But how if somebody offered you $50 for every time you pick in your nose, and you know what comes out of your nose when you pick in your nose? They want to give you money. So of course you're gonna get $50. Somebody want to pick in. Somebody said they're gonna, for every bullet you pick out of your nose, I'm gonna give you $50. So here goes $50. So it's just like that. If you are continually awarding him with cooperation and validating his power and his importance and feelings of importance, how likely do you think that he is going to change his behavior? He's not going to change behavior as long as you accept it. As long as you are accepting what he's doing to you, he's never going to change. You feel me? And again, what would you sacrifice? What have you sacrificed to tolerate abuse? What have you sacrificed? There are different hidden dangers of abuse. The effects of verbal abuse are often overlooked because they are confused with things that you may have before a residing a mental health issue or an addiction. Because of the stigma, though, however, and the lack of awareness, it's important to recognize the dangers. Verbal abuse can lead to depression, dissociation, that means loss of concept, self-medicating. You end up taking drugs or alcohol to numb your feelings because you don't want to deal with the realization of what you're really going through. And then there's the physical abuse, of course, a place that comes from a place of anger and insecurity, or even losing control. And then there's self-harm. Eventually, victims of verbal abuse will lose their sense of personal value, and then this can lead to self-harm and, unfortunately, suicide, because they feel that there's no way out. And a lot of times, you see when people do that, they feel there's no way out. So guess what? There's no hope because they have no hope. But today we thank God that God and Jesus is our hope. We have hope. We have life. As long as you have life, you have hope. So don't give up on life. Don't give up on life, because there is still life. There is still hope. Don't give it up. Don't give it up. Know that you are important. Know that you are worth it all. You don't have to take abuse. You don't have to be cursed. You don't have to be slapped, punched, or kicked, or not any of that, because God knows God made you, and he made you worthy. So you have to know that you're worthy because he knows that you're worthy. So that you should be able to come through anything. So tonight, I admonish you to please, if you are in any kind of situation that's of abuse, get out. The red flags, I'm pretty sure, have already gone out. They've already gone out. Don't wait and refuse to see how bad something is until it completely destroys you. Get out when you begin to see those flashing lights. Remember, you can't change someone who doesn't see an issue in their actions. They think it's perfectly fine, but it's not. Please, listen to me, please. Make sure that you are in a safe place. Don't compromise your life. Don't compromise your life with some flesh. Don't compromise your life with fear. Fear is false evidence appearing real. You can get hope. You can get free. You can be loose from the cords that bind you. But you have to make that step. Call that number tonight that I gave you. Call those numbers. If you want to be free, if you want to be loose from those cords of domestic violence and the other things, call that number, please. Again, I thank you for coming on. I thank you for your time. May God forever keep you and bless you. And those of you, there is a way out. There is hope for your life. God bless you, everyone. Have a blessed night. And the fourth Tuesday, we will meet again if the Lord permits. God bless you. Good night.